After Cao Yuan heard the name Kai, he asked Lin's last name in shock. Lin turned around and said his last name was Lin. Cao Yuan immediately recalled the characteristics of a noble person that the temple host had told him before. This person stands on 2 trees, missing one of 8 spirits, lost at night for 10 years, and will rescue mortals in the world. Suddenly, a hand interrupted his thoughts. Tianping looked at him expectantly. I finally got rid of that sword woman. Just to find you. Come and chop me up. I am really curious. Cao Yuan smiled and said, Don't worry, you can't kill me. Cao Yuan picked up the knife at this time, muttered to himself, It seems that Lin now thinks of me as a deserter. I have to change this bad impression. Then he drew his sword and looked at Tianping seriously. I want to confirm it one last time. Are you sure you can survive? After Tianping's affirmative answer, Cao Yuan slashed at him with his sword. Tianping immediately launched a defense. At the moment of confrontation, Tianping felt a strong sense of uneasiness. This knife really made Tianping feel the crisis of life and death. Fortunately, Wang arrived in time at the critical moment. A terrifying sword slashed directly chopped Cao Yuan away with his sword. Wang looked at Tianping helplessly and said, You underestimated the enemy too much. Tianping rubbed his eyes. He still hasn't recovered from his shock. What on earth is that? This is called the second to God's realm, the Black King Slasher. The first 34 forbidden areas are called the realms of gods. And this Black King Slasher is the forbidden area sequence 31. This force is too strong and he is too weak, so that after he uses the restricted areas, he will completely lose consciousness. He is now fighting on instinct. This is a truly indiscriminate attack. When he gets crazy, he even wants to chop his own mother. After hearing this, Tianping's body slowly rises. Looking at the crazy Cao Yuan, Tianping said seriously, I understand. I really underestimated the enemy just now. Now I'll go all out. He spreads his palms. Instantly, countless pieces of gravel flew towards Cao Yuan. At the same time, Tianping also jumped onto the stone and began to avoid Cao Yuan. Looking at Tianping's ability, Uzumaki couldn't help but sigh that he envied Tianping's ability, because Tianping can fly if he wants to. Upon hearing this, Qiangwei punched him on the head. Idiot! The captain is not asking you to watch Tianping fight here. Go find the god agent just now. While they were talking, Jasmine suddenly appeared and slashed at them. Uzumaki used the Forbidden Realm to block the attack of Rose. At the same time, Lin, who was watching from a distance, immediately asked Shen Qingju to help Jasmine. Shen said dissatisfiedly, Why do you command me? Lin said to Shen with a golden light in his eyes, Help me to hold back the other members of the masked team. I will fight their captain. Shen was at a loss. Before he left, he said, If you won't, just wait for me. At this moment, Fatty was secretly watching Jasmine's heroic figures. Didn't he notice it at all? The moon ghost had come behind him. After the moon ghost swung his knife, his attack was blocked by a golden barrier. Then the air suddenly became quiet. The two looked at each other awkwardly. The moon ghost attacked again. As a result, his knife broke into 2 pieces instantly. Looking at the broken knife going astray, he fell into deep thoughts. Hang Pang shyly raised the necklace around his neck. Sorry, I have this magic weapon to protect me. Physical attacks can hurt me. By the way, it can also be used for attacks. He is sequence 171 in the high restricted area. The whole battlefield was filled with smoke, except for Lin and Wang. Everyone else was fighting together. At this moment, Lin finally found Wang. "Why? Are you just watching here?" Wang waved and said, "I've been waiting for you for a long time." At the same time, the instructor's basement was shaking wildly. "Should we change places? They won't destroy this place, will they?" "It shouldn't be possible. This place is 10 meters underground. How could a group of people at the level of the light realm do this?" But when they looked at the surveillance, the instructor was no longer so confident. "Do you think a battle of this level can be fought by a group of people in the light realm?" Yuan Gang was very satisfied looking at the list in his hand. This round of recruiting training has produced so many geniuses. Who knows, in a few years, the vegan 5th special team will be born again. Lin and Wang face a peak showdown. On one side is the dignity of all recruits. On one side is the face of the special team. Let's see who will be the winner in the end. At this moment, Lin and Wang are staring at each other. Wang took out weapons and broke the silence first. "I know you have a lot of doubts as the new agent of God. You can come and talk to me after this battle." "Thank you." After that, Lin launched an attack directly, was also immediately unfolded the God Realms. Time God Realm. Suddenly, Lin felt that his movements slowed down. He felt like he was being shackled. Fortunately, it was already night. With the help of the story night dancers, Lin's movements are faster than during the day. When the weapons of both sides collided, Wang was shocked. "It's so fast. Could it be that the mortal realm has the ability to accelerate?" Wang came behind him without waiting for Lin to answer. He threw a blow at him. Fortunately, Lin reacted in time and only had a few hairs cut off. The next moment, Lin hurriedly distanced himself from Wang. Only then did he have time to catch his breath. If he hadn't been beaten by the Captain Chen's wooden sword before, he wouldn't have been able to hold out for even 5 seconds now. Suddenly, Wang swung his sword at Lin again. The two started fighting again. In just 2 minutes, the two slashed 250 times. At the same time, in the ruins in the distance, Pang Pang and Jasmine have already stopped fighting with the masked members. They're all watching the battle between Lin and Wang. The fatty holding the telescope side. The speed of these two fighting is too fast. I can see them clearly. Aren't they tired of fighting like this? Moon Ghost replied helplessly. I don't know if they are tired or not. Anyway, I've been beaten for a whole day. I am really tired. Suddenly, Fatty stood up and shouted to Lin to come on and beat him. The math team members saw Fatty cheering and also started cheered and shouted. Wang teased in the battle. Listen to my support. Better than yours. Lin did not take it seriously and unfolded the God Realms. After such a long time, your mental strength should be almost at its limit. Wang did not deny it, but said that my realm was very strong and my mental power was consumed very quickly. But I still have the power to make one last attack. By the way, can I win this battle? Is it so important to you? Lin rushed to Wang again and said I don't care about winning or losing. I just want to go all out. After hearing this, Wang also placed the weapon in front of him. Well said. I will also go all out with this last attack. You can't dodge this time. Instantly, Wang Mian exuded a powerful divine pressure. The pressure surged into Lin's mind. His movements paused for a moment. When he recovered, the knife had already appeared before his eyes. Instantly, Lin's eyes flashed with golden light. Two powerful divine powers collided. The blast of the explosion knocked everyone back in the distance. Just as the two were in a stalemate, Lin felt a warm current and was instantly filled with strength. The golden light in Lin's eyes became brighter. The realms of time of Wang were shattered in one go. Before Wang could come to his senses, Lin's knife had already chopped at his mask. There was only a crisp sound. The mask shattered in the next second. The crowd was stunned at this moment. The instructor behind the surveillance was also stunned. The mask was cracked. Wang looked at Lin. He whispered an apology. Suddenly his eyes flashed with gold. The mask fragments shattered in mid-air and flashed back to Wang's face. Lin's figure also strangely returned to the position before the attack. In a trance, the mask on Wang's face was restored to its original state. Lin was confused. What is going on? Wang explained that I had just liberated my own realm to the next level. Using the time realm, everything within a 2-kilometer radius was retraced by 3 seconds. Lin's eyes were as big as bells, pointed at the people watching the game in the distance. Can't they see it? Wang coughed lightly. Except you, who have the God realm. Everyone's memory also returned to 3 seconds ago. However, my team members and some of the stronger instructors, they should have realized that I had reversed time. Hearing this, Lin was furious and said, "You are cheating." Wang was embarrassed by what he said. "Lin, I admit that I just lost to you. But this time, the recruit's training must be carried out. Do you understand what I mean? Do you want me to pretend that I didn't win? As if nothing had happened? Sorry, my principles don't allow me to do this. I will tell all the recruits the truth." Hearing Lin's words, Wang raised his hand and gestured, $500,000 plus a forbidden item. Plus, I owe you a favor. Lin heard such generous conditions. He suddenly felt that his principles didn't seem that important. He agreed to the deal immediately. At this moment, the female instructor in the monitoring room was worried. She asked the leader if his mask had just been cut. Yu Angang nodded. I feel that Wang must have used that move. This is a helpless move, because the training must be carried out. This is not for our faces, but for the future of these children. He looked at the time and said it was 9 o'clock and the battle was over. Suddenly, a strong voice swept through the training camp. The battle ended and the masked team won. Yuan Gang stood on the stage and angrily scolded the new recruits. I am very disappointed in you. 239 people versus 5 people. Most of them didn't even get a glimpse of the masked team. It's just like what I said before. You are just trash. Since you lost, then do as I said before. Abandon all your self-esteem and pride and forget your past. Put your heart and soul into the training. He pointed to the blackboard next to him. This training will last for 1 year. The first half of the year is the purest physical training. During this half year, we will use a forbidden object to suppress the forbidden realm in your body. You will lose the special power you are proud of and become ordinary people. During this period, we will torture you in various ways. You are exhausted physically and mentally. You are always on the verge of collapse. You will be desperate, miserable, and even want to commit suicide. But unfortunately, you can't even commit suicide here. As for the second part, we will talk about it after you can survive these 6 months. The man cut the dormitory in half with one knife, just when everyone thought they were going to sleep in the wilderness. They found that the dormitory building had been restored to its original appearance. Many recruits were stunned. Only Shen Qingju was so surprised that he trembled. What kind of power is this? It took only half an hour to restore the original appearance. Lin touched the rebuilt dormitory building and sighed. I guess that guy has made another move. Pang was confused. What the hell is this? Lin, how come you have become a riddle man? At the same time, Wang was carried forward by the two people, Uzumaki and Qianping, as if he was extremely weak in the kidneys. Uzumaki said with a heartache, Captain, why are you doing this? The dormitory buildings can be repaired by the logistics team. Why do you have to use time travel to put the dormitory buildings back together? This is too much of a burden on your mental strength. Upon hearing this, Wang knocked on the top of the scale and said, You can't say that. I cut down those 3 buildings. I am responsible for my own actions. At this time, Qiangwei also spoke in confusion. Captain, we've wanted to ask you for a long time. You used time reversal again today, right? Did we lose? Wang did not hide the fact that we did lose. They are really young and powerful. They were much better than we were at that time. I believe they should be able to complete this training easily. However, on the second day of training, Shen Qingju looked so painful that he rolled his eyes. Many new recruits were even beaten to lose all strength. Yuan Gang stood in front of Shen and taunted him. How come you can't run 50 laps? I remember you were very crazy at the beginning. You said 100 laps were easy. Why can't you run now? Shen Qingju stood up tremblingly after hearing this. As a man, I can't say no. Just wait and see. At the same time, Pang was taken to the infirmary. The doctor beside him said that this fat boy's physical fitness is really not good. He only ran 20 laps, and he's like this. But his spirit is really amazing. He was the first one to faint from running. So far, the only person in the entire training camp who can run 100 laps is Lin. Everyone collapsed when they saw him taking no breath and looking calm. What kind of monster is this guy? He ran 100 laps without even taking a breath. Is he a humanoid Gundam? At this time, Yuan Gang shouted from a distance, Lin, come here. Someone is looking for you. The person greeting him was Wang. This time, he came to talk to Lin about the issue of God's agent. And the first question Lin asked him was what the relationship between the agent and God is. Wang explained that in essence, the agent and God are actually a contractual relationship. For some reason, gods, they usually do not appear directly in human society. If they want to do something, they must find a suitable person to help them complete it. At this time, humans and gods will form a contract. The essence of a contract is exchange. God gives part of his power to the agent. As an exchange agent, you need to help God to accomplish certain things. Of course, not everyone can become an agent. Only when God recognizes you can be qualified to become an agent. Thus, you have the possibility to complete the contract. Hearing this, Lin felt even more confused because he had no impression of the contract at all. This made him wonder if the Seraphim had other purposes in giving him the power. Driven by curiosity, Lin asked Wang what the contract with the God of Time was. Wang said calmly that it was about 8 or 9 years ago. At that time, I was still an ordinary person. That day, I was crossing the road and a drunk truck rushed towards me. Just when I was about to be hit, the time around me suddenly stopped. Then the god of time pulled me into the void and signed a contract with me. He gave me his divine power. In exchange, I must enter Takamagara in the future. Help him take something out. Lin was a little surprised when he heard this. Is Takamagara the home of the gods in the myth of the island country? Does it really exist? Wang did not give a positive answer. Since the god of time said it exists, it must exist. But I haven't found it yet. At the same time, someone on the other side was using a telescope to secretly observe the female soldier's chest muscles, just as he was watching with great interest. Suddenly, a wooden stick hit Fatty on the head. You little brat, you pretend to be dead during training every day. You got excited just by watching the female soldiers training. The instructor snorted coldly. You didn't listen to what I said about swordsmanship, did you? How many times have I said this? Hot weapons are shit. Only cold weapons are useful. If you don't practice the basics of swordsmanship, when you face the enemy, you will die. After saying that, he carried Fatty to the coaching station. Come here. Practice with me using the sword techniques I've just described. Seeing the fat dawdling, Instructor Han immediately became even angrier. Pick up the wooden sword on the ground. Don't worry, the wooden sword won't kill you, but you will suffer the pain of the flesh. Instantly, he swung the sword towards Pang Pang and kept reminding him. Stare at your opponent and raise your knife to defend with your right hand. Only a ding sound was heard. A golden barrier protected Fatty's body and blocked the instructor's attack. The air suddenly became quieter. He was the worst of the whole recruiting camp. The instructor wanted to catch a weakling to establish his prestige, but he didn't expect that this weakling was Doraemon, who possessed countless treasures. The instructor was almost beheaded by Fatty's defensive rebound. The instructor, who had just been defeated, turned around and stared at the listless Cao Yuan. But the instructor was almost killed by a knife. Just now, the instructor took Fatty to the teaching platform for sparring. As a result, the instructor's knife triggered the automatic defense of the treasure on Pang Pang's body. Pang Pang immediately apologized and prepared to turn off the automatic defense. However, Pang Pang's clumsy hands actually pressed the wrong button and switched to attack mode. The next second, the wooden sword in the instructor's hand was cut into 3 pieces by two golden lights. Seeing this, Fatty apologized again in a hurry. The instructor asked him to leave with a speechless face, so he looked for a new sparring partner off the stage. At this time, Cao Yuan, who was listless in the crowd, attracted his attention.